Topping today's news, Prime Minister Davis meets with new police leadership team where they focus on anti-gang measures. A man shot while walking the beach on Grand Bahama. We hear why some unions are not supporting the Trade Union Congress industrial action, and the PLP chairman weighs in on middlemen in relation to food imports. This is your Jcn Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. It's a pleasure to have you join us. The Prime Minister reaffirming his government's commitment to providing what is needed to dismantle criminal gangs, crack down on violent crimes, and reduce the number of murders in the country this year. The Prime Minister was speaking to the new leadership of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, led by new Police Commissioner Shanta Knowles. He said the police and support agencies must break the cycle of gang recruitment, highlighting that prevention is just as important as prosecution. He said he hopes the meeting sets the tone for an aggressive, coordinated approach towards anti-crime or fighting crime. The Prime Minister reinforced the government's 5-pillar crime strategy, which includes prevention, policing, prosecution, punishment, and rehabilitation. Police on Grand Bahama are investigating a shooting incident that occurred Monday near Paradise Cove. Police say shortly after 5:30 a.m., a man was walking along the beach when a gunman emerged from nearby bushes. The suspect fired multiple shots in the direction of the victim before fleeing the scene. The victim sustained gunshot injuries to his face and upper body and was transported by emergency medical services to the hospital for medical treatment. Following a number of significant leads, a man was taken into custody for questioning in reference to this matter. There were quite a number of drownings in the country last year, and on Monday, police on Exuma began their investigation into an alleged drowning near Jolly Hall Beach involving a 34-year-old male resident. Police were alerted to the scene around 11 a.m. on Monday, where an unresponsive male was found floating in waters. The man's body was retrieved and later examined by the local doctor, who pronounced him dead. Police say there were no visible signs of foul play. However, an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. In another incident in waters between Bimini and the Berry Islands, a Royal Bahamas Defense Force vessel responded to a distress call around 2:30 p.m. near Mackey Shoal. When they arrived, they rescued a 28-year-old man found adrift near a jet ski. Defense Force officers later found the body of an unresponsive male recovered by a second vessel in the area. Both men, identified as visitors to the Bahamas, were transported to the clinic on the Berry Island, where the second man was officially pronounced dead. Police say the two men left Nassau on a jet ski on Saturday for a fishing trip at Bimini. The jet ski reportedly took on water near Andros, forcing them to use it as a raft. Police say there were no visible signs of foul play, but an autopsy again is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. In addition to not supporting President Obie Ferguson and the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, in their industrial action yesterday and again today, Belinda Wilson, president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers and president of the Bahamas National Alliance Trade Union Congress, the BNATUC, with its 9 affiliate unions, they are placing fire now under the feet of Mr. Ferguson by calling for his resignation. She was speaking while on ZNES TV talk show The Rundown with its host Clint Watson on Monday night.
I carry no qualms to say I'm going to dance around. Obie Ferguson, as I said before, needs to step aside, and I believe him moving aside will bring the 3 Congresses together, because I'm of the view that the young leaders that are coming up, along with the veterans like myself, will be able to bridge the gap and have the trade union movement united and solid.
Further, Mrs. Wilson said Ferguson's leadership of the TUC is one of the main reasons a number of unions split from the Trade Union Congress to form alternative umbrella unions. She described his leadership as being divisive in the labor movement.
You say, I asked him to resign. For too many years, we've been whispering under our breath about the destruction that Obie Ferguson has brought to the trade union movement. As a lawyer, He's been up as far as the Privy Council against trade unions. Just as recently as a few weeks ago, he was in the Supreme Court with the Bahamas Union of Teachers, saying that we are not a registered union and giving hefty fees to the unions to pay for his services. And so he is a part of why we have 3 Congresses. He tends to cause the rift to widen every time he attacks, assaults, or takes a trade union to court. And it's destructive and it's a negative impact on the movement.
Similar to what she had said last year, Wilson accused Ferguson of pandering to politicians instead of putting the interest of his members as priority. She said it is part of the reason the BNATUC did not support the Trade Union Congress industrial action this week. And finally, in this segment, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Fred Mitchell, says the increasing cost of food in the country can be attributed to specific groups of people having the monopoly in relevant industries. This comes after Prime Minister Philip Davis's national address last week, where he highlighted the government's goal to remove the middleman or the middleman and consequently reduce the cost of food for Bahamians. Well, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell, is doubling down on this concept as he says the market must be diversified in order to cut food costs.
To the effort of Prime Minister Philip Davis and his government to break this monopolistic pricing of food in the country, which it turns has little to do with the government taxes, but more to do with UBP F&M policies, which have given a certain set of families a monopoly on food distribution and pricing in the country. The government's investigators have revealed stories of front companies owned by the usual families operating out of Florida who engage in double invoicing and who are also shareholders in the shipping companies and who also own the seaport. So they have you by the short and curlies at every turn. And it is no wonder that the F&M seeks to protect them because they support the F&M.
According to Mr. Mitchell, this issue is a long-standing one, and he's urging the public to know your history as it relates to the major stakeholders in the Bahamas in relation to food wholesalers, shipping companies, and the container port. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back following these commercials.